Hi guys, I'm Redneck Computer Geek and welcome to the channel. We work on tons of different projects here. Everything from go-karts to lawn tractors to the occasional mini bike also. Now, we were sponsored by Oryxearth about 3 years ago for a mini bike, back before any parts actually existed in the aftermarket. And we built all of our own custom parts. Since then, after 3 years, the Chinese have decided to make their Chinesium clones of what we actually had to custom build, and now all the credit card builders on YouTube are starting to catch up to our build. So, I think on this round, we should join the credit card builders. We're going to unbox this Oryxearth, take a look at it, see if they've changed anything over the last 3 years, and then we're going to start purchasing our own credit card builder Amazon parts, and see what we think about them versus the ones that we built 3 years ago. You know, John, it's a bit of YouTube irony. I can't have you open a box with a knife, but I can hand you a saw for cutting up bodies, and that's perfectly legal on YouTube.
Yeah?
Good old FedEx, they tore that entire box all the way open and taped it back together rather than filing a damage report on it. And John just pointed out that they did the same thing when we ended up with a red FRP a year ago. But we traded off the red FRP, and the reason we traded it off and we built the Oryxearth was because you couldn't fit a upgraded 212, 208, 200cc engine into the FRP without entirely redoing the frame. On the Oryxearth, it fit with minor massaging.
Yeah.
See what's underneath, door number bashed in. All of the stickerage you could ever want. What's up with the weird... Is that just so it stays on top? Okay, so there's that. Let's see what this looks like inside. Alright, so the smashed inside is where the seat is. Oh yeah, that's right. I told him I wanted a blacked out one so that we could paint it any color we wanted without having to argue with it too much. I don't see any damage to the bike itself yet. What the hell is this bag? Here, pop that open. Maybe this is why they said this was the deluxe model. What's inside the bag? What is that? Alright, that's one of those gaiters for around your neck. Oh, interesting. That way you can put a GPS on your phone and be able to prove whether it does or does not do the mile per hour they said it does.
Sweet, we have to test it.
What is this? Is this a light? I think this is one of those clamp-on lights. These are actually really cool because they're fully rechargeable. You can stick them on all kinds of different stuff. Yep, it is. It's one of those. Okay, that's cool. Anything else in the bag? A bag within a bag. Let the suspense build. I'm betting that's their, like, yucky toolkit. It's hard to find good help these days, even if you make it yourself.
Oh, okay, so we got tools right there.
Oh yeah, high quality. Okay, but still. Okay, so let's see if we can put the machine together with the toolkit that they send. Okay, was the other bag in there, was that extra brakes? I think I remember extra brakes the last time being in one of the baggies.
Those are some...
That's a handlebar of some sort?
Yeah, and then, what is this?
Oh, you know what? Those are handlebar risers. I remember this. I remember that the handlebar was kind of weirdly set up. Alright, cool.
Oh, these are for the front forks, I think. Maybe?
Oh, are those axles, or is that the Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Oh, these are for the tires.
Yeah, they're either the front forks or for the rims. Yep. John's working on his Oryxearth wrapping career over here, apparently.
We be driving an Oryxearth. We be going fast, filling up with gas.
That was horrible. Okay, kick that down. Alright. There we go. Front tire. Whoop. All right. There's the handlebars. This thing is packed in really good. This is one thing I do remember was different between... This is one thing I remember being different between the Oryxearth and the FRP was the packing for the Oryxearth was way better. That is something I do remember. Oh, these plastic pieces that are on this, take the whole stupid seat off. Don't try to get it in underneath and stuff. It just doesn't work. Alright. That must be the front fender wedged in there. Cool. We'll get the bike the rest of the way out and start putting it together. Well, Oryxearth, I can see that your jig for welding up the bikes has not changed in 3 years. The same side that was welded low and bent is still the same side on this bike. But what's even more atrocious is the steering bump stop. It's not centered by any means. It's way over there. I'm going to have to do exactly what I had to do on the last bike, and I'm going to have to take a grinder and take almost a 1/4 inch off of that in order to center it. I don't know what's up with you guys in your welding jig, but in 3 years you still haven't fixed it. John and his lack of welding skills still is allowed to judge welding. Show me this thing. What is up with that? That's just a tab, and it is horrifyingly off to one side. Okay, so see if it actually fits on the neck, because the last one, off camera, we had to beat on with a hammer.
Oh, yeah.
It's loose, but it fits, right?
Yep.
Alright, cool. First confirmation on the wrenches in the kit. The top is a 12 and the bottom is a 15 millimeter, and the kit has the wrenches needed. Next we will grab the tire and get that put onto the front. This has spacers on either side, so we got a monkey with the spacers, which isn't too bad. And this size tire, you can actually buy the SunF road tire for these in order to replace them. We did that on the other bike. I'll post a link for the ones that fit in order to replace this right straight outright. The idea that we have debated for this to go drag racing potentially this season is they make weld-on extension tabs for like a Coleman 200. And you could run a 18 to 19 inch rear tire with a Coleman axle in the rear. And that's what we've been kind of debating, is building a small front tire, big rear tire, tiny chassis drag bike. I don't know. We built a big tire monster and we built an itty bitty bike. Now we kind of need that in between. John and I both. Oh, cool. They designed the box so that you could assemble the forks and stuff while it's still in the foam piece. We give them a close. They got 75% of the way there. Here, let me fix it.
Works great.
Some disassembly required. As John's working to get the axle into the spacer, into the rim, to go into the spacer, into the other side of the fork, we're on round 2 of did the wrenches fit? And the answer is yes. It's a 14 millimeter on one side and a 19 millimeter on the other. Are you done yet?
No.
Yeah, we're doing this without power tools, which makes it take way longer. Shameless insert of everybody should buy a 3/8 cc impact off of Amazon for like 90 bucks. Total game changer on this kind of work. So that nobody else has to have an I feel dumb moment like John just did, these do have a top and a bottom. They have a flat that goes on bottom, and they have like a weird little recessy spot, if I can get it to focus, that goes on top. And if you put them on backwards, upside down, however you want to say it, they rock. But if you put the flat side down, they seem to apparently not move anymore. Do the wrenches fit? Confirmation number 3. We got a 10 millimeter on top and we got a 13 millimeter on bottom. And as John has dropped the wrench about 3 or 4 times at this point, it just is what it is. You take your time and eventually it works out. On the fender, we started putting the screws in here. Let's just say that the Phillips that it comes with is a tad bit something to be desired. So I'm going to probably cheat and finish putting the rest of them in with, you know, a slightly better Phillips. And John, I think we should cheat and go grab the Seesii and just put those handles on before it gets cold in here.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember how I said that was welded wrong earlier? So if John goes this way, his thumb is right at his kneecap, right over the top of it. Plenty of clearance. Then he goes this way. He's sitting on his leg. That is what we were talking about that piece being welded wrong. We'll get a rat file on it eventually, but for now, let's just get it up and running. Although, right now the front driveway is an ice skating rink, so we can't really take it for a test drive. Bag of tools test, number 4. Did they give you the right Allen? Yes?
Yep.
Wicked, good. Alright, go ahead. Yeah, there we go. This is what we were talking about earlier. If you pull the 2 bolts that are back there, then the plastic just comes right off without having to argue with it. Because it's got 2 tabs that come in underneath right there. Which, by the way, on a side note, speaking of Chinese, you know, whatever, if you buy the standard cafe racer seat in order to put on one of these, basically all you do is just weld a really large nut right there. And then you weld a couple of tabs and you can bolt the cafe racer seat right onto these frames. Are you done yet? How can one person fight with plastic so long? Oh, did they staple it in?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, they stapled it with the cover. We ran into this Danger Will Robinson on the last one of these. So if John goes to full throttle and lets off the handle, it's not actually returning. So we had to monkey with this and loosen a few things and grease the snot out of everything. And even then, we upgraded to a 212cc and John almost flipped it over on himself because it still decided to stick. So one of the upgrades we're going to do is getting rid of the original throttle and putting on a thumb throttle at some point. We're going to let John try to start this, but I'm going to show you prepping it. So that's the on position on this carburetor. And this choke lever is all the way in back here, and you have to put it to here in order to start, and all the way back that direction in order to run, which is a twit to get to when you're standing over the top of this. You have to kind of just develop muscle memory for it. And the kill should be that direction for run, if I remember right. And now, you're way bigger than the last time we had one of these, so let's see if you can get the engine started on your own.
Oh wait, that goes that way, there we go.
Alright, so now you gotta set that choke lever. Where is it? Did you not pay attention to my how-to? It's in under the tank up in there. There's a sticker right there that says start and run, and you gotta move it over. Yeah, move it all the way over. You're gonna choke it out if you don't. Did you get it?
Yeah, there we go.
Alright, can you blip the throttle a bit? Hey, that sounded pretty good. Blip it again. Alright, do the brakes actually work?
Yep.
Yep, they do?
Yep.
Alright, cool. Can I try to blip it?
Sure. Speak up, horse.
Alright, you ready?
Yep.
Alright. Let's see if I can blip it. That has no torque whatsoever. Like I literally bet I could burn it out without even locking in my front. Look. Yeah, I don't even have to actually lock the front. Alright. So here's the plan. Basically, we know what these do stock. We've already had one. We've already been there and done that. But what we didn't do last time was we didn't upgrade the engine that was on it. We just immediately jumped to putting a 212cc Ducar-based Duramax on one. Actually, I think we did a build hard first and then swapped it to a Duramax when we took it drag racing. But either way, what we're going to do this time is we're going to monkey with the stock engine. We know that the 5/8 clutch is the Achilles heel here. We know the 5/8 clutch is what we're going to roach, which we did stock the last time, but we're going to try it again just for the fun of it. Who knows? Maybe they swapped out clutches, maybe they've upgraded since. They've had 3 years to make it better, so I guess we're going to find out.